throughout her distinguished career in Congress. House Democratic Leader Nancy Pelosi has been relentless in her efforts to strengthen the U.S.-Israel relationship. She has led congressional delegations to the Jewish state. She was among the first calling for dramatic sanctions to stop Iran's nuclear weapons program. And she has made sure that Israel receives the security assistance it needs to remain safe and strong in the face of growing and unpredictable threats. She has demonstrated incredible dedication and leadership on so many pro-Israel issues. But it was her commitment to one in particular that I want to speak about this evening. For nearly 5 years, Leader Pelosi traveled the world with a set of dog tags that belonged to Israeli soldier Gilad Shalit. Those tags served as a reminder of the sacrifice that so many Americans and Israelis have made in the pursuit of the shared values that unite the two nations. Nancy Pelosi was the leading voice in Congress, calling for and working towards his release. I want to take this opportunity to personally and publicly thank her for all that she did to remind the world about Gilad Shalit's fate. And take a moment, of course, to share the joy over his release and return home this past October. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the House Democratic Leader, Nancy Pelosi.
Thank you, Amy Friedkin, for your generous introduction, for your friendship, and for your ongoing leadership, now and as a president of AIPAC. Tonight is a true honor to be here with the leader of the Jewish state of Israel, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. I will never forget the great honor of visiting the Prime Minister in his Jerusalem office last May, when he took great pride in showing us an ancient seal, an artifact dating back 2,700 years, found in recent evacuations near the Western Wall. It was inscribed with the name Netanyahu in Hebrew, a direct connection to the history of the Jewish people. Yesterday, you honored the extraordinary career of a true visionary, a legend of history, and a founder of the Jewish state, President Shimon Peres. I join you in celebrating his life. He helped establish the state of Israel, which many of us consider the greatest political achievement of the 20th century. He has dedicated his life to the cause of peace ever since, a pursuit that continues to this day as the President of Israel. The United States, Israel, indeed the entire world, is better off for the leadership of President Peres. We all congratulate President Peres for the honor that was announced yesterday that President Obama will honor him with the Presidential Medal of Freedom, our highest civilian honor. I thank Amy for mentioning it, but aren't we glad this year, as we come together, Gilad Shalit is free and home with his family. But we must never forget Eldad Regev, Ehud Goldwasser, and all of the missing and captured Israeli soldiers. I'm pleased to be here with Senator Mitch McConnell, the Republican leader of the Senate. Our appearance tonight reaffirms that our support for Israel is bipartisan, even if we don't speak with the same voice tonight. Congratulations to AIPAC's leadership, your new president, Michael Kaysen, Chairman Lee Rosenberg, Executive Director Howard Kaur, and all of the leaders of AIPAC on organizing another outstanding policy conference. More than 13,000 strong this year, all of the delegates and community activists here are effective voices on behalf of a strong U.S.-Israel relationship. Let us all recognize the future leaders of our nation and of our U.S.-Israel relationship, our students who are here tonight. They seem to be over there. Of course, I especially want to honor my delegation from my home state of California. Thank you, AIPAC, for your support of foreign assistance. Your efforts go farther than your support for Israel. Anyone who cares about the alleviation of poverty, the eradication of hunger and disease, owes you a debt of gratitude for your strong advocacy of foreign aid. Thank you. The last time I spoke to the plenary session, I spoke to you about my Jewish grandchildren. I have one more since then. Tonight, I want to talk about another member of my family. Nearly 70 years ago, a congressman from Baltimore, anybody here from Maryland? I think I hear Howard there, and David Stenny. A congressman from Baltimore took the floor of the House to call on his colleagues and our allies to ensure the safety, security, and the future of the Jewish community in Europe. Later, at the height of the Holocaust, he declared that the land then known as Palestine must be kept open as a haven to the Jewish people. And once World War II ended and before the establishment of Israel, he noted that the Jewish community can find no peace in places they once called home. Not yet. That congressman was my father, Thomas D'Alessandro Jr. He was early to stand strong for the people persecuted for who they are. He was early to stand firm for the cause of a Jewish state. His calls of conscience and principle were part of a lifetime commitment to the people of what would become Israel, a commitment he passed down to his children. My brother, another former mayor of Baltimore, Thomas D'Alessandro III, has a sports stadium named for him outside of Haifa in recognition of his unwavering support for the Jewish state. This same commitment is one I share today. For our family, Israel has always been a special place. For America, Israel has always stood as a beacon of hope, a partner in democracy, and an ally in the fight for security. From Israel's founding through the present day, our pledge remains the same. Israel and America are friends and partners now and forever. Our bonds of friendship are founded on the theme of this year's policy conference: shared values, shared vision. Our shared commitment to security and our desire for peace, the drive to perfect the world and the pursuit of justice and the common good, the belief in democracy and embracing the rights of free expression and a free press, and in respecting the rights of women. For more than 6 decades, this has been the foundation of our unwavering promise. The United States-Israel relationship is unbreakable. The United States' commitment to Israel's security is unshakable. If our friendship were rooted only in shared values and shared vision, it could be easily said, Dayenu. That would have been enough. But our friendship goes far deeper. It is a friendship not just of words, but of deeds, and in Congress, those deeds have meant tangible results for Israel's security. Our actions rest on a strong pledge. Our mutually beneficial aid to Israel must and will remain a top priority for the United States Congress. That is why we acted then under Democratic leadership to codify our country's Memorandum of Understanding. Until then, it was a Memorandum of Understanding. We made it the law. Until then, you could say we were speaking loudly and carrying a small stick. But with the codifying the Memorandum of Understanding, we made it the law to invest $30 billion in Israel's defense over 10 years. That is why we will continue to expand on our work to restore, preserve, and strengthen Israel's qualitative military edge with record levels of aid and investment in the Iron Dome, David Sling, and the Iron Missile defense systems. We will build on what American and Israeli defense leaders has hailed as an era of unprecedented cooperation in intelligence sharing and military exercises. In a time of regional instability and uncertainty among Israel's neighbors, we will always stand strong for Israel's security. Today, the U.S. and Israel agree. There is no more pressing threat to Israel's security and regional security than the threat of Iran's nuclear weapons program. But even without our strategic partnership between the U.S. and Israel, an Iran with a nuclear weapon would be an urgent threat to global security and to the security of the United States of America. The pursuit of a world free of nuclear weapons is a key pillar of U.S. foreign policy. It is in the interest of America's security. It has been the policy of Democratic and Republican presidents alike. It is a critical part of building a safer world for our families and for the next generation. We must say to all of our partners around the world, we are measuring our relationship with you on your commitment to join us in preventing Iran from developing a nuclear weapons capability. That is what is called a top priority, and that is exactly what the Obama administration is doing, and much more. Congress and President Obama have acted on this commitment, turning our promises of action into crippling sanctions against the Iranian regime. Thank you to AIPAC for your leadership and your support and your advocacy. During my time as Speaker under the leadership of Chairman Howard Berman, we enacted the strongest Iran sanctions legislation ever passed by Congress. Imposing sanctions on companies that sell Iran technology services, know-how, and materials for its energy sector. We offered foreign banks a choice. They can deal with institutions that support weapons of mass destruction and terrorism, or they can do business with the United States, but they cannot do both. In December, this time under Republican leadership, we built on those measures, targeting the Central Bank of Iran and further isolating the regime from the global economy. The United States is leading the charge with our allies and at the UN. In recent weeks, under pressure from President Obama and his administration, Iranian banks have been put on a path to expulsion from SWIFT, which is an international network used to transfer money. This action would cut off one of Iran's only avenues left to conduct business in the global economy. And we are seeing results. The Iranian economy and energy industry are suffering. Iran's partners are cutting off their ties of trade and commerce. We are undermining the funding of Iran's nuclear activities. In short, Iran is feeling the bite of our sanctions. Our actions reaffirm our message. It is time for Iran to suspend uranium enrichment, return to the negotiating table, and abandon its reckless pursuit of nuclear weapons. But the President was very clear on Sunday, as he said in this room. Iran's leader should understand, he said, that I do not have a policy of containment. I have a policy to prevent Iran from obtaining nuclear weapons. Our friendship and our support for Israel's security will remain a paramount concern and priority for the United States. And the Jewish state will continue to thrive because of its own history, character, and strength. Israel's story is one of courage and bravery, persistence and perseverance, of pioneers who made a desert bloom and helped a democracy flourish. Last year, on the 63rd anniversary of the establishment of the State of Israel, I repeat, one of the greatest political achievements of the 20th century, our bipartisan delegation witnessed the extraordinary transition from Israel's Day of Remembrance to its Day of Independence, from loss of life to victory, from sadness to joy, from mourning to celebration. Then we remembered Israel's fallen, the victims of terror, the sons and daughters who went to war and never came home. We pray always for the day when Israel's children, all of Israel's children, could, as my father hoped, find peace in a place they call home. We were reminded that Israel and the Jewish people remain a symbol of democracy, that we must continue to fight for the day when Israel's existence is a fact recognized by every nation on the face of the earth. And we founded on our shared values and shared vision, we pledged to work to usher in an era when Israel can realize, in the spirit of its national anthem, the hope to be a free people living in peace and security in the Jewish homeland. Thank you, AIPAC, for inviting me to join you tonight and for advancing the cause of a thriving U.S.-Israel relationship. Together, our work will continue, our alliance will grow deeper, the friendship of the United States and Israel will stand strong now and forever. May God bless Israel, and may God bless the United States of America.
It was in 5th of October, 73. We were caught by surprise all around the small Israel. All what I knew was that we need assistance because we started to waste ammunition. We started to reload from our depots. We started to lose airplanes. The ambassador called me up to his office, and it was close to midnight. and said to me, well, put a tie on yourself, dress yourself, we are going to the Oval Office, to the president. Well, it was the first time of my life to sit in the office of the president. It's not just the president of the United States of America, my feeling was. He was the president of the big world. And I looked at him and I said, Mr. President, this morning I was driving down to the Pentagon, and all of a sudden I don't see my way because I had tears in my eyes. Sir, I'm not ashamed to say you, a fighter pilot, a general, thinking, what's going on? Whom am I representing in this country? Do I have a country at all? Everything goes so bad. It's close to a disaster. We need your assistance. And I'm not asking you to send any manpower, any soldiers, any brave people to assist us. I'm asking for aluminum, steel, all the things which can support my people to fight. It was quiet in the room. Nobody opened his mouth. Thank you, Mr. President. And they discussed among themselves from the other side of the table. And I looked at the eyes of Secretary of Defense Schlesinger, and I could read his eyes that it's going to be okay. I didn't get it in writing, but I got it deep in my heart. And I know what I said inside me at that time. God bless America. But loudly I said, thank you, America. And I say it today again. Thank you, America.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Brigadier General Shaiki Bereket.
Thank you. 38 years ago, my country was on the verge of disaster. From the north, from the south and east, our neighbors wanted nothing less than our total destruction. Thanks to our determination and the United States support, we prevailed. I know more than most what could have happened had America not been there for Israel. Almost 4 decades later, my country once again faces a substantial threat. A nuclear Iran will not only pose a threat to Israel, but to the entire free world, enabling escalation of global terrorism led and supported by their fundamentalist regime. So, as I did in 1973, I stand before the great decision makers of America with a deep belief that the United States will do everything in its power to prevent Iran from accomplishing its threats. America is the world's greatest democracy and bastion of freedom, and we trust that it will continue to lead the global effort to ensure Iran never has the capability to obtain nuclear weapons. Thank you. God bless the State of Israel and God bless America.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's still more to come. The Prime Minister of Israel will be arriving shortly. Don't go anywhere.